Okay, great. So now our tarot journey brings us to the biggest journey within the tarot cards, which is the Chariot. And you can see one of the depictions from my tarot deck up here. It's not the final artwork and everything, but it gives you a good idea. And if you want this deck, remember to contact me to pre-order a deck. There's only going to be a limited amount printed. So yes, so let's look at the Chariot. And the Chariot's keywords are a journey, overcoming obstacles, success, triumph, and mastery. Now, let's look at some depictions from the tarot, but actually, let's first look at the description. Now, normally it would be a chariot and it's driven by a partly armored warrior. Speed is often indicated within this card, and that represents the pace of life. Yet the driver has a firm grip on the reins and he remains in control of the situation, and that's very important to remember later on. Now, the chariot is usually drawn by two fantastical beasts or two horses, one light and one dark in color that symbolizes the opposing poles. Um, the yin yang in it. Remember, we worked with the lovers previously, and that is being drawn into this card as well. And it shows that two parts, the good and the bad within everything, within the environment, within a person, or the impact of an event as well. Now, the horses are reconciled to pull in tandem, bringing speed and bringing progress because the two of them are constantly working together. Now, let's look at some depictions. First one I'm going to take is the Morgan Greer Tarot. Very, very traditional depiction. So we're seeing the black horse, the white horse, we're seeing the chariot. He's sitting there, is very partly armored. We see that he's wearing a crown, so he's probably a king in here. And we see this veil hanging here from the chariot, which is quite significant later on. I see that a lot of depictions, mine included, I use clouds to symbolize what this is supposed to symbolize, but we'll get to that in just a minute. We also see stars on the foreheads of the animals. We see the moons there. We see the sun over there. So it's got all of the celestial symbols in here as well. We also need to remember that this is also the card of Cancer, and we're going to talk about that in a second as well. Right. Next up, we've got the Witch's Tarot, very much a similar picture. We've got the stars, we've got the moon. Remember what I said about the clouds here at the bottom. We've got the white horse, the black horse, and a very partially armored person here riding on the chariot. And as we can see the speed. See that they are going. They are galloping there. Which brings us to the Druidcraft Tarot. This one we're seeing the Queen Boudica from Irish and Scottish folklore. We're seeing right there in the center, we're seeing the compass, which also shows the wheel of the year. Remember what we said about the life cycle as well. We're seeing the white horse, we're seeing the black horse just over here, and you'll see that the black horse has got a little bit of white over his nose, whereas the white horse has got these black specks, almost like a Dalmatian, showing once again that yin-yang idea. We still have the clouds in the background, and she's wearing this cape. Right. Let's go to the Lightseer's Tarot. The Lightseer's Tarot, he's on top of the carriage there. We're also seeing the celestial things like the stars. We're seeing this beautiful sunset, so it's that perfect time between day and night. We're seeing the two horses there, and they are spiritually drawing this carriage. Bringing us to the very last one, and this is the one that I need to talk about for a second because it looks exceptionally different from the traditional cards. But here we have the Chariot within the Wizard's Tarot, and she's riding a broomstick, and as you can see, there's some of Anubis's hellhounds that's with her on there, flying through the air, guiding her chariot, so to speak. We still have the moon, we still have the stars. We can see the symbol for Cancer right there on her head as well. So it's still movement. We're still seeing, the draping there of her cloak. Right, so let's delve in. You'll also see, before I forget on this one, we do still have a fantastical beast right there. We've got the Sphinx of Egypt right there in front of the pyramids. So when we start looking at horses, the Sphinx, and other beasts that's used to pull the chariot, it's usually ancient monuments that symbolizes long distance travel through the world and into the next. So this is, except for this being an actual journey, this is very much a spiritual journey as well. It's a journey that came from the ancient times and is still going on and will go on long past we have left our physical bodies. And that is why mythical creatures are usually also used, and then horses, because horses are seen as an extremely spiritual animal. So as this carriage is being drawn, it's not just the cycle of life, it's also the cycle of death, it's the cycle of the afterlife. It has its roots very much in ancient Egyptian culture, where you would start going into the Duat, going through the four worlds over there, the same four worlds that we see depicted in the Kabbalah Tree of Life and many other traditions. Now, the Sphinx is actually, when we're looking at the old ones, when we're looking at the Rider White, for instance, it's usually a Sphinx that's actually two of them that's actually pulling the carriage or the chariot. And they are also the guardians of the pyramids. Now, they are a blend of four different creatures, and this is very important to remember. They are the bull, the lion, the eagle, and the man, and they symbolize the four fixed signs of the zodiac as well. So we've got Taurus, we've got Leo, we have Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and the other one. I am now so. I want to say Gemini, but I know it's not Gemini. It'll come to me just now. Otherwise, I'll just put a description in this video a bit later on. But in any case, so those four actually symbolize air, earth, fire, and water, the cardinal directions, the fixed directions, the four that brings everything together: earth, air, fire, and water. That's what it comes down to. And that's what we need to look at the creature. Now, when we start looking at horses, we get very much the same thing, because a rider on its horse will represent the four as well, because horses are typically seen in Greek and Egyptian mythology as a water creature that came onto land. We've already got water and earth covered. But then obviously the air gets covered by its speed, because it's seen as one of the fastest animals that humans can travel on, or journey animals, so to speak. So we've got the air in there, and then of course it only leaves the fire, and that comes with the hooves and the running and the galloping that will represent the fire. So once again, we've got one animal showing all four elements. That's why it's been changed towards a horse. It's also to make it a little bit more user friendly. Now, the rider of the chariot always has a cover basically above its head, or a crown, symbolizing something. We'll see in the one, she's got the witch's hat on her head, and you will see that there's a garland of stars. Even here, when we look at Boudica and we look at her headdress, and it's very difficult to see on camera, but there's these little stars going right across the headband. Even if we're looking at her, we see all of the stars there as the brim of her head. We're looking at him, he's got the pentacles, which is 5-pointed stars. And so we have constant stars everywhere in this picture. And the cloak is usually made of the same material, or it'll be nighttime, showing all of the stars. This is to symbolize the fabric of night, making the traveler invisible to the ground below or the mundane world. Remember what I said, this is a spiritual journey. This is not a mundane journey. This is not let's go on holiday to Cape Town type of thing. This is more of a you are going onto a journey that will take you through the stars, it will take you through the cosmos. It is very, very spiritual in nature, and you need to look at all of the different things around you, and you can't be concerned with the material world over here. You need to see the things that are unseen, and for that to happen, you need to be unseen yourself. So it's almost like becoming an observer within a conversation, almost not being there, almost like being the wallflower and using that as a vehicle to move through the universe as well and move through your spiritual journey. When this one pops up, there's going to be a lot of change, and it's going to happen quickly. Remember, these horses are or creatures are running at full speed. They want to get to their destination, but it's not the destination that counts, because the moment you get there, there'll just be another journey. It's one of those cards that never truly stop. There's always some journey that you're going to be on. And it is very important to look towards the stars within this card, because the stars is that veil between life and death, between the mundane and the spiritual. And it's a time to walk between the two, almost at the edge of the two. We are still aware of the mundane, but we become aware of the spiritual side, the other world as well. And that's what we're looking at with this card. Now, the Chariot only now leaves the city, and it symbolizes that new beginning, that change that is going to come. At this point, the change hasn't come yet. The change will come rapidly once they're on the road, once they're going, but this usually symbolizes that journey that's happening right here, right now. It's the start of it. It's a new beginning. You don't know where you're heading. You don't know where you're going to find yourself. You're going to need to navigate yourself by these stars and by this other world that you maybe don't know at all. So yes, so once again, the glyphs on the tunics usually, once again, is just that spiritual path that he's going on, and it is a sign of Cancer. Now we need to talk about the Cancer aspect. When we start looking at Cancer, it is also a duality symbol, very much like the Lovers can be. It shows two things. And this is all about coming into balance with yourself. Now, when we look at the Cancer within the zodiac, he walks sideways. He's a crab. Well, in certain ones, he'll be a crayfish, but let's go with the crab because that's what we're looking at with specifically the tarot. And he walks sideways, and he needs to maintain that balance, because even though you walk sideways on land, you will swim forward inside the ocean or inside water. And that is so significant of Cancer, because in the mundane world, they struggle to survive, but put them in water, put them in emotion and in spirituality, put them on the other side of that veil, and they actually move forward. They move in a direct direction at the end of the day. And that is what this card is all about. It says, you know what, you've been hankering to the side for your day-to-day life, and it's time for you to now take a journey where you can go forward in life. It's still mundane, it's still there, you're still going to reach your destination, but as you go through it, you're going to go through it with your eyes open and your eyes to the front, not scuttling to the side and just hoping that you're doing the right thing, because that is what happens a lot in day-to-day life. This also makes it an exceptionally emotional card. When we're working with Cancer, we're working with the Chariot, we're working with an emotional card, we're working with a water card. And when we start working with this, it says that the impact that this card will have will not be physical. It won't be about dreams and ideals. It will be purely emotional. This is a journey that you need to go on, and it'll change you completely emotionally. So yes, that's the 2 cents on the Chariot.